Well, hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Getting ready to record tonight's show. Just hanging out, waiting for our friend from the UK to join us. So just settle in. We'll get started here in just a bit. Just getting everything set up here in the studio. What's everybody up to tonight? We are now live on YouTube. All right. Let me know who's out there. Where you tuned in? We're going to be talking about a 13-night transatlantic cruise on the Disney Dream with Lewis from the UK shortly, once we get connected. Hey, Zach, what's going on? Somebody celebrating a birthday next May at Caribbean Beach. I like it. Hey, Mike. Hey, Aloha over on Instagram. Hey, Catherine over on Instagram. Carol and Jeff over on Instagram. Everybody else, drop a comment. Let me know where you are. Watching old Pressure Lux here in the studio as we get ready. Let's see here. Trying to start a bit early for Lewis since he's in the UK. It'll be midnight, top of the hour. The new Coke Zero cans all have names on them. Homie. Guess that's a new thing for summer. Let's see what's going on over on the Discord until we get our friend Lewis in here. Let's see what we got going on in theme parks. What are we talking about? Has anybody been to the extra evening hours event for deluxe hotel guests at Animal Kingdom? Hoping to see the safari and hopefully see Pandora at night. If you've gone, I would love to hear experiences. Now that's kind of interesting because back in the day, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but God, I'm trying to think how long ago this was. They had it was like I guess it was a promotion back in the day. It was called Awaken Summer. And I remember because I went down for a media event when it kicked off, and it was when they really it was when they debuted Rivers of Light, and Animal Kingdom was open at night. And the big thing was you could do the safari at night, and you went back there and they had I don't know if anybody did this, but they had that fake sunset on the safari. It was like kind of like a big LED panel. It looked like I liked it. I thought it was super cool. Some people thought it was super cheesy. I liked it, but they really leaned into like, do you hear things? Listen, we're gonna stop the Jeep. Do you hear that? That's the what they call it, uh, some kind of an animal. It's the animal that the guy at LSU, the cornerback, used to use that same name. Like oh man, what was his name? That cornerback, the honey badger. Do you hear the honey badger out there on the safari? But they really leaned into like, what do you hear? Because it was dark. I mean, most of the places you couldn't see. I thought it was neat. I mean, it's a different way to see the safari. So I think, yeah, going to see Animal Kingdom at night. Pandora's beautiful. So totally, I would love to see more Animal Kingdom after dark. So I would totally do that. See what else we got. Is it me? Maeve Matthews. I love that. Dave Matthews, Maeve Matthews. Is it me or the summer pass holder deals? VI pass holder a bit weak. Monday through Thursday only for the dining and only at specific spots. Online store only for merch. Bummer. Yep. I agree. I mean, they're not going to put out anything more than they have to. At least they are 40% though. But they're just going to try to get them into the places that are real slow on the real slow times. That's how they're going to use those offers to fill the restaurants they need to fill and to fill the nights that need to fill. Oh, got a new post. If you're not in the clubhouse, come on over to brguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. Oh, that was June Mouse Mom, who's also here in St. Louis. She's on the other side of the river. She's in Alton. Oh, Craig down in Louisville says he was on a transatlantic to Barcelona on the Magic in 2007. Boys to Men performed on his cruise. Holy smokes. And he says it was almost free. Oh, Lewis is on his way. Lewis is on his way. There's Lewis. Let me add Lewis. Lewis, hang on. Let me get my headphones on. Lewis, what's up?
Hello, how's it going?
It's going great. Let me get rid of the clubhouse here. I'm just hanging out and talking about stuff. And so we're live, by the way. So everybody's here. So everybody's hanging out. So hang on. Let's see. Stop. So sorry it's so late, but oh my God, I'm Captain America. Yeah. I'm not a Marvel guy, but that's right. With the shield.
I know you're a spot on. Yeah, I know you're not a Marvel guy, but I am. So yeah, that's takes pride of place behind me.
Rock on.
It's a bit of a fancy backdrop when I'm on my work conference calls. It's a bit of a topic of conversation.
Well, it's irony, right? You're in the UK and you're Captain America. I like the immediate irony right there. That's I need like a big like UK Captain UK or something here.
Well, funny there is. If you see next to him on the shelf above, there's Captain Britain as well. There's a little figurine up above the shelf. Yeah, so that is Captain Britain. Yeah, there's a long story behind that figure, but maybe that's for another time. But yeah, I was gifted that by a comic book store owner in Las Vegas, because I proposed to my wife in his shop. So he gave me that as a present. So yeah, long story short anyway, but there you go.
A great story.
Funny you say that, because he's right there. Yeah.
I like it. I love that kind of stuff. It's great to meet you, by the way. Thank you for staying up late. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, absolute pleasure to meet you as well, Mike. I've listened to you for a hell of a long time now, so I'm usually sort of in the background, just absorbing and listening, enjoying the podcast on my walks every morning. So this is the sort of first time I've had like direct engagement and interaction with you. So yeah, awesome.
Well, thank you so much. So we'll get right to it, because I know we're this is definitely a BOGP after dark for you. So and I can't wait to hear about this, because I've done lots of Disney cruises, but never transatlantic. It's on my bucket list. That Panama Canal is my big bucket list. What is going on? Oh, that's a reminder not to forget to call you. Yeah, Panama Canal is my bucket list. Transatlantic second. So I can't wait to hear. So we'll just talk for like 40 minutes and just tell us all about it. We could talk about Universal at the end, but mostly the cruise, I think, because that'll probably be the majority of the stories, I think. But hang on, somebody said, "Hey Mike, I have to say my master's app." Oh, this is her. Ohana starters with pot stickers, wings. Oh my gosh. Okay, Catherine, you're killing me with your masters. She's going back to the podcast we did the other day about the meals with her choices. And yes, Ohana starters, pot stickers, wings, and noodles. Oh, so good. Oh, I just got done eating though, so I'm good because I had my dinner, so I'm good. Okay, so let's see here. So let me close the clubhouse. That thing stops beeping. Actually, I can leave that open. Yeah, I'll close it. Let me hit this. Say that we're live. Now my wife, see, we're in between rainstorms here and it's warm. So my wife's going to be cutting the grass. So she's going to be buzzing by here on the tractor here in a second. So
always the way. It's always, yeah.
This mic's really good about canceling everything out. So we should be fine. But if you see me looking over that way, that's because my mom or my wife is busting up against the wall here because the window is right. I mean, she cuts right next to I could almost touch the tractor when she's cutting. So
this is so bizarre for my senses because I'm sat in this desk pretty much all day working from home. I've done that all day today. I went to bed, had a power nap, just like and I'm getting back up again, and it's like if I look out my window, it's pitch black.
Yep. That's me when I do my online check-in for cruises. Like I come to my office has a whole different feel. Like at midnight, it's like
yeah. It's eerie. Yeah, I've got the kids and the wife upstairs asleep. I'm probably like vibrating through the ceiling.
All right, here. Let's see. It says 2682. No big holidays on Monday, I don't think. So here we go. Let's get cracking. All right. Let's see. And here we go. Welcome to episode 2682 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Of course, I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for kicking off yet another week with us here on the show, right in the throes of spring. So I know that you probably have that Benadryl handy and the pollen's everywhere. But, as you sniffle and sneeze, keep those AirPods in and take the Be Our Guest podcast with you. We're going to have a good time today because we're switching it up. We've had a great variety, I think, of trip reports here lately, land, world, cruising, just all over the place. And I love this international guests, domestic guests. And today we're going back international and we're talking about something we have not talked about here on the show in a very, very long time. We're going to talk about a transatlantic cruise on the Disney Dream with our good friend Lewis, who's staying up extremely late over in the UK. We love our friends over in the UK that stay up late with us. Lewis, thanks for hanging out with us late at night today. We appreciate you. What's going on?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, pleasure to be here. If I am a little bit jaded, that'll be why, because I'm in like mid post nap wake up. So yeah, but pleasure to be here.
Well, let's just say you're up early. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
True. I have no idea if I'm actually going to be able to get back to sleep tonight, but we'll see.
So, how's spring over in your part of the world? Like, what part of you in England? Or like what
yes, yeah. I'm in England, so I'm in the sort of the south of the country, sort of south of London. We've been treated to a fairly decent last couple of weeks. Very, very warm, almost summer-like for a week or two. Just very pleasant over the Easter break, which was lovely. And actually just come back from an awesome trip to the southwest of the country. So beautiful part of England, which is called Cornwall. So family and I spent Easter down there last week, which was excellent.
So, let me ask you this. So we're going to kind of dive into your Disney cruise here in just a second, this transatlantic, and I'm super excited to hear about that. But you also went to Universal on the tail end of that, spoiler alert. But you guys got news that you're going to get a Universal park over there in your neck of the woods here. What's the reaction of folks over there to that news?
Yeah, great question. I think like absolute excitement. I think especially coming off the heels of just seeing how awesome, epic Universe looks. So you're like, right, well, not only are we getting a park now in the UK, we're probably going to get an amazing park at a really high standard. So very, very excited. A lot of buzz. Obviously, a lot of friends and family who are also big Florida and Walt Disney World addicts are like, jumping for joy at the fact that we're going to have a park, and it's only really only a matter of a few years away. So yeah, very excited about that. I think there isn't much competition in the UK for parks. A lot of the parks we do have are very tired. So I think Universal have been very, very shrewd with opening up one in the UK and sort of tapping into that market. I don't think it will sort of cannibalise the US travel at all, but I think it will just complement it as another add-on to your kind of yearly itinerary.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's going to be a huge draw over there, but I also think that it's going to be very tempting for folks in the United States that are interested in that IP, right? That are fans
Yeah.
of all the the Harry Potter stuff and the Nintendo stuff that just need a different take. I think that a lot of folks that are Disney fans, that are Universal fans, that are theme park fans, right? The folks listen to our shows, listen to all the podcasts, we tend to almost be completionists when it comes to not just our collections with resort mugs or what pins, whatever we collect, but I think we want to try to always sail all the ships, go to all the theme parks, see all the things. So, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because in this instance that gets you, like if I was that way, it'd get me to go over and see England, and I would also get to explore another country and get to explore another culture too, which would be really cool for me. So I'm all for this. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because you think about it, we've whether we admit it or not, we've probably all got on our bucket list to one day tick off all the Disney parks, haven't we? But perhaps that's also going to be a goal for the Universal parks at the time as they continue to sort of grow their footprint across the world. So yeah, it's very good point. Works both ways, doesn't it?
Yep. So tell us about your Disney fandom. Like, how did it start young, or did you pick it up later on in life? And what's your backstory?
A bit of both. I think definitely picked it up later in life. But actually, if I was reflecting on this the other day, I was like, when I was a kid, uh, I, I I was a Disney fan, but I didn't know I was. So think back to when I was a child at home, we had this like big wooden mahogany cabinet in the corner, and it was like bustling with all of the old video cassette tapes. And I was kind of fortunate enough that my mum used to work in a video store and a game store, so she used to bring back all these videos and games. And I didn't realise they were Disney, but I used to be sitting there religiously after school watching like the classics, the Sword in the Stone, the Robin Hoods, the Lion Kings. But I didn't really know it was Disney. They were just cartoons to me at the time. So I had that. But actually, I guess pre-Disney taking over Marvel, my fandom really started as a real little kid with comic books, superheroes. So prior to Disney taking over Marvel, but that's predominantly where my love for the sort of the sci-fi and the fantasy started. And then actually fast forward to like 2018, I had my first trip as an adult to Florida and to Walt Disney World, and that was because we were invited to go. At the time, my wife and my eldest daughter and my brother and his family, they invited us because they'd been before. So I didn't know there was 4 parks, didn't know that there were multiple, didn't know there was Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and they're asking me for advice on which parks you want to go to first. I'm like, I have no idea. And so we had 2 weeks in Animal Kingdom in 2018, and then like the rest is history. So we've been back like 3 times since, always staying on Disney property. We're very, very spoiled back then, because it was actually, looking back now, it was like a cracking deal that we had, because we were able to get like 2 weeks at the Animal Kingdom, full Disney dining plan, the one that we used to have where you just had too much food. It was like three sit down meals.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember that, if you're talking about the days. I mean, I remember the days where like each person got an appetizer.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, everybody doesn't eat their own appetizer, but that's what we got, then everybody got a dessert, and and the tip was included. It was wild back then.
Yeah, and you had like 3 sit downs as well. So you're like, I remember clock watching, going, that's breakfast. In a couple of hours, we'd be back at our next reservation. I was like, it's way too much. So, but yeah, that's where it sort of started. And we've been back since, and I fell in love with the bubble and not wanting to be off site. And it's interesting how dynamics have changed over time. And like, obviously, Disney's not a cheap place, as we talk about all the time. But it was like, you can see our dynamics shifted from getting the opportunity to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge the beach club, Swan and Dolphin on one of our trips, and then we do have another trip actually booked for the back end of this year, and we're going to give the Caribbean beach a try, as with the new flavour of the dining plan that's come back, which is also sort of a free add-on incentive, first time since kind of post COVID that it was offered to the UK guests. So we snapped that up. So we're going to give that a go towards the end of this year.
It's about the right amount of food now. To be honest, like it's a good amount of food. Like back then, I mean, it was a great value. I mean, it was like but because back in those days, just kind of closes out. Like that was back again. I was like you. I didn't know what was going on back then when that first dining plan came out. I just knew I got it because it was a great deal, and I used to carry around a big backpack because I schlepped everything for the whole family. Well, shoot, Mallory wasn't even born then. It was just my wife and Paige and myself. But we got so many of those desserts because you got a dessert with every quick service meal. So we always got those little cakes that had the little, confetti or stuff on top of them in the plastic containers. And by the end of it, we'd stay for 10 days or so because my wife and I were both teachers. We had time. So by the end of the week, we'd have like 17 or 18 of those little cakes like in our backpack. And we're just like, I can't eat another cake because you went to table service meal and you got the desserts. You had to eat that
snack credits and
you snack credits. Exactly. I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a great memory. That's why I love the show, because the memories that come back and things change. But yeah, that was just, you're right. If you're on the deluxe dining plan, and that's what you're speaking of, was just, I never did that. I was not that adventurous. I gotta say, that was a lot.
We didn't do it the following trip. We were like, that was way too much. Like we scaled back for the following trip, which again was a free add-on. But
yeah. I heard, you got to do, if you're going to do that, do signature meals a lot, because those were 2 credits. And that kind of makes it,
exactly.
work out in your favor. All right. So let's talk about the cruise. What made you kind of decide? Was it just because the Disney Dream was going to be over in the UK and that was an opportunity to sail from the UK over to Orlando? It was just kind of this looks like it's a perfect opportunity to get from point A to point B. We've always wanted to try DCL. I mean, what was the circumstance to get this cruise together?
So it was a bit of a late booking. So we booked it in like the June, and it set sail on in the October of last year. So we weren't really going to do a big trip, but it was, as the year was going on, I was like, do you know what? I really need something. I need a good trip. So we was looking, and we had a flight credit that we could use from a trip that we cancelled the previous year. So we were looking at it, and we just had our youngest daughter, so we had a 1-year-old toddler. And when you kind of look at the prices across Europe for like an all-inclusive holiday, it's not much more of a jump up to start going, well, actually, where I really want to go is Florida, or what I really want to do is a Disney cruise, but I don't really want to have to deal with a toddler on a long haul flight both ways. Mm-hmm. So we're like, well, do you know what? There's this transatlantic cruise option that we've got. I actually found out about it because the year before we did the Anthem of the Seas and did the Norwegian Fjords trip. So pretty much, I think, very similar to what Scotty G did. And we did that the year before, and I sat next to a chap on a rib boat on an excursion, and he was celebrating his 70th birthday, and he said, you know what, I've got another trip booked at the end of this year. It's a transatlantic cruise, and we're going, but it's the other way. It's the Royal Caribbean going back to New York, and it was like £1,000 for the trip. I was like, that doesn't sound quite right. He said, yeah, it's super cost effective. We just got to get our flights home. That planted the seed, and then we're looking, and then saw that the Dream was in the UK. It was going home for the season, and the prices were just too sort of irresistible to give up. Then combine that with the flight credit that we had, and the fact that I'd only have to deal with the toddler one way on the trip, it was like worth the. It was too good opportunity not to give it a go. And actually, one thing you've always said before, and what we learned from the previous cruise that we did, was that 7 nights is great. 13 nights, surely that's got to be even better, because we never see the full ship without that much time to just really absorb it. So that they're just they're very few and far between, aren't they? Like, you only have to do that sort of type of trip to get that length of time. So it was too good to give up.
Yeah, the longest I've been at sea is 12 days. I did it back to back. I did 5 nights. Well, it was ironic back to back. It was one of the podcast cruises. We did 5 nights on the Dream. And then we got off and went to the next terminal at Port Canaveral and got on and did a 7-night on Freedom of the Seas on Royal Caribbean. So we did back to back on not just 2 different ships, but 2 different cruise lines.
Yeah.
But sailing, consecutively. But that was awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah,
But I've never done 13, so this is gonna be cool to talk about. But you mentioned kind of how you can get good deals on these transatlantics, and it's ironic because I was listening to another podcast that I love and support. This guy, he's just a guy from Oklahoma, or he's just like he's kind of like I do Mike in the Midwest. He's kind of like that. Like he's just a regular old guy that just does a podcast out of his office in his house and works for the government and stuff. And he talked about how he's done a couple Carnival cruises just because that's what they do they live in Oklahoma. So the middle of the United States, they drive down to Texas cause it's close, a 6-hour drive, and just go out of Galveston or something. But they've done enough cruises where they go to the casino on Carnival. And so they happen to hit like one big jackpot on one of their cruises, but they put all their money back in. They put all the winnings back into the slot machine during the cruise. Well, because of that, they pegged them as high rollers. And so they didn't really spend any money. They just got lucky and hit a jackpot, but they put all their money back trying to, just playing throughout the, it was only like a 4-night cruise to the, like to the Western Caribbean or something, but they put the money back in. So then they got pegged as high rollers. Well, what they ended up winning was they won a transatlantic cruise. And I was listening to their, so you mentioned, they got a whole cruise, just like, like 13 night, they came over because the ship that they went on with Carnival was doing a dry dock over in Europe.
Yep.
And they had to get it back to Miami. And they said, the cruise was only like half full when it came over, and they got it for free. And, it was just an opportunity to to take advantage. So yeah, you can get some ripping deals every once in a while on these things.
You can. And I do think just on that point, I think when you, especially now, sort of the rise of cost of living and also these trips aren't cheap anyway in the grand scheme of things, but actually when you really got to start looking at where's the best place to spend your dollar or spend your pound, when I look at any cruises in general, in particular this transatlantic one, it's like you just feel like you've got a lot more value crammed into a period of time that you don't get anywhere else. So you kind of have that all-inclusive feel and the novelty of multiple new destinations to keep you going, as well as the excitement of a new destination on the other side of it that you do have to sort of fly home from. So it's just a lot more. I find your money spreads a lot further with that sort of trip.
Agreed. Because you got it's that all-inclusive thing. You're getting great dining, you're getting outstanding service, high quality entertainment, variety of entertainment. That's why I can't wait to talk to you about that, because the length of the cruise, just there's just so much. You're going to great places. So was this your first experience with Disney Cruise Line on the Dream for this?
First on the Dream. So we did do a taster cruise when the ships were stranded post-COVID. We got a 2-night staycation cruise on the Magic.
I remember that.
We just went up and down like the coast of Kent in the UK for 2 nights, and we did that because we were curious about cruising. We didn't want to commit to one and weren't sure really if we'd like it or not. So that was, again, too irresistible to give up, because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity with the particular situation and scenario that was unfolding. So we did that, and we're like, do you know what? We quite like it. I felt the Magic was quite small. So I felt like if I really want to do a bigger trip, I need a bigger ship. I need a bigger ship. So I did get that sort of learning from it. And then we did I always wanted to do the Norwegian Fjords cruise. So that again was a great opportunity on the Royal Caribbean. But this was the first time on a bigger Disney ship.
I'll be curious too. Don't let me forget. I want to have you compare the Dream to the Anthem at the end, because the Anthem is very state of the art. Like it's got a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of Vegas to it. I haven't been on it, but I've heard a lot of people that have sailed it. So it's got the robotic bartenders and stuff like. It's something that it's not Disney. Disney's going for those classic ocean liner kind of look, and feel, which I love that. But Anthem of the Seas is like it's like the Vegas Strip, like a sea, and it's fun. I've been on a couple other ships too. They're fun. I had a blast, but they're totally different feel.
They're bonkers, yeah.
They're wild. They go for the wild, man. And there's something to be said for that too. 2 different experiences, and they're cheaper too sometimes. A lot of times. But let's so 13 nights. So picking your stateroom is more important when you're going to be in that stateroom for 13 nights, especially in your situation, because you got a family and you had a toddler. Yep. So what was your family makeup, and what kind of stateroom did you guys pick?
So there's two daughters and my wife. So my daughter's Penelope was 9 at the time, and then our youngest Harmony was 1. So very challenging age. We had a veranda. Yeah.
2 daughters too. I hear you, man. You would pick a. Could you get a suite?
Yeah. Couldn't quite stretch to a suite, but we had a veranda stateroom, which was more than sufficient. Really was. So it's actually, so for anyone that's really thinking about doing it, the fact that we get a travel cot crib set up for us in the room, and all your diaper genie and all the equipment that you sort of need that Disney provide for you. So that it was really more than sufficient. And then you had the sort of the sofa bed and bunk beds that Penelope was able to be alternated, the top bunk and the bottom bunk, and then the housekeeping was so great every day, so frequent that that's put away, so you've still got some room to move around and maneuver. And then you've also got that extension of the balcony. The one thing that I get, the good learning that we had from talking to the local sort of travel agents that booked it for us, was that we were on the 7th floor, slightly towards the mid aft, also mid towards the back of the ship, but it's on port side, which is quite important when you're going westbound, because you want the sun coming up and you want the sun coming into your room, so you have sun on your balcony most of the day. But if you're going eastbound, you ideally want the opposite side of the ship. So it's kind of just a cool tip to bear that in mind, because you get, otherwise you can be a bit chilly otherwise.
See, I would have never thought that, but if you're doing that for 13 days, that's something to think about. Because you know, the biggest thing that we always get, you know, in my work, right, because I book a lot of cruises for folks, it's always you want the starboard side, because a lot of my cruisers are going to Castaway Key, right? And they're like, okay, I want that one that overlooks Castaway Key when it's docked. But that's a good point. But it's a very unique sailing. You know, this one, these transatlantics, you know, you got to remember that they only do this, you know, twice a year. They don't go, you're not booking this one like, oh, I want to do this one on March, or I want to do this in April or May. No, you got like 2 shots, you know, and you get 1 shot a year on the one, you know, the one way. So it's a very unique opportunity, but it's a great opportunity. So, but you found like, you know what, I've sailed deck 7 aft on the Dream, and I love it, because you're only a couple decks up to the buffet, you know, a few decks down to all the entertainment. That's deck 7, 8, 9, good spots.
Yes.
You can't go wrong.
It was absolutely, it was spot on. As you said, it was just a short walk to get to the main areas. So no qualms at all. Didn't quite realize how far back we were on the ship, and actually we went up most mornings, we were going the longest way to get to Cabanas, and we realized we could just go the opposite way and be up there in like a few minutes. But that's again the joy of these big ships.
You got to fill your circles. I mean, that's it's gonna be 13 days on the ship. Let me ask you, because I want to get to some of the bigger things, but real quick, what'd you think of the kids? Did Penelope enjoy any of the kids' activities throughout the ship? And what'd you think of like the opportunities for her to enjoy herself, especially on this longer journey?
Good question. So a bit of context. So Penelope, so this is very relevant to your last couple of shows that you've had around introverts and extroverts.
Mm-hmm.
So Penelope, our 8-year-old, very introverted, very quiet, book reader, quite shy, didn't really know how she'd react to the kids clubs. On the previous one, the magic trip we did, she did go into the Oceanias Club, but when we went to pick her up, she had sort of taken herself off to the side and was sort of reading and colouring on her own, so kind of in her own world. So we weren't sure how she reacted this time. Harmony, our 1-year-old, opposite end of the spectrum, highly extrovert, extremely social.
Same for you. Mallory is a nut. I mean, she's a varsity, she's a cheerleader. She's crazy. Like for her older sister, I can stay by herself. Like it's a second child syndrome. They're wild.
Yes.
Look out, the second kid every time. 100%.
Absolutely, completely. And there's an evolutionary trick there, isn't it? It tricks you into having another child, because it's like the first one was easy. They were quite compliant. Have another one. No, then that's the wild one that goes out and it goes on adventures. So that's what we have. So do you know, another reason, going back to your very first question, another reason why we thought this was such a great option for the transatlantic cruise was because of the kids clubs, and because we could pay for Harmony to go into It's a Small World and get a little bit of a respite from her during the day, and give us a chance to have some sort of parent time. So we had that. That was our expectation sort of set. the opposite happened whilst we were on the ship. So Harmony hated It's a Small World, so she didn't want to go into it. Penelope, we couldn't get her out of the Oceaneers Club.
Wow.
She suddenly summoned this independent extrovert nature and was like, just no, I want to go in there. Like, can I go in there? Can I go in there? Can I go in there? And even on the nights where there were the big shows, she was like, no, I just want to go into the Oceaneers Club. We're like, no, actually, come watch the show first, and then go into afterwards. And
we would like to see you a little bit during this vacation.
yeah. Because then we're like, oh, what do we do? We like twiddle our thumbs a little bit. We don't have our children to look after. So yeah, it's a balance. So she really loved it, and that was our first. We made a beeline for the Oceaneers Club when we first boarded, because that's when you sort of register and you get the magic bands for the kids, and it's an open house, so that's when parents get a chance to go in there. And I'm like, yeah, these are some seriously awesome kids clubs. Like they are. That's what I would have wanted when I was a kid. And there's a whole sort of you know this, but in the Oceaneers Club, you've got all these different sections, haven't you? So you've got a huge Toy Story section. So when we went into the Oceaneers Club on that open day, you met Jessie straight away. She came out, and that is like Harmony's number one character, like absolutely obsessed with her. So it started to trip off on like this massive high, because first character, she took one of the only two toys she took on the ship with her was her Jessie doll. So she got to see her there. That was awesome. And then the opposite side of that, you've got the big Avengers sort of room. So you've got the Spider-Man costume set up, and you've got the web slingers activity, which I think was a fairly new addition from the dry dock. So that again was like amazing. And you've also got all the Star Wars area. So we couldn't keep her out. And what we learned when you drop the kids off, they kind of scan their magic band and they go in. So really, really secure. They do the cool little wash their hands, all clean and hygienic. But what we also did with the cast members, because we were so like concerned about Penelope, we said to them, look, can you find her another child of girls around 9 years old? So like, yeah, sure. And they already knew who they were, and then they made the connection, and that was like made it plain sailing from there on out. So that was a kind of a cool tip to they will help to connect your children with other like-minded like age groups. So.
That's what I was wondering. I was gonna be my follow up, is did she make like a buddy during the, because with that long of a cruise, I remember one time we did a spring break cruise on the Wonder. Paige didn't go because she had a soccer tournament. She was in high school at the time. Ironic thing was that it got snowed out. She didn't even get to play the soccer tournament. She didn't go on the cruise with us. But Mallory quickly made a buddy. I still remember her friend was from Miami Gardens, and they met in the kids club, and they were like inseparable throughout. It was only a 5-night cruise to the Western Caribbean, but those two, like, we ended up eating dinner with them every night. The parents and everything, they were, because we have pictures. I see pictures of them all the time in my Google photo memories, and I'm like, who is that? Oh, that was your friend from that one cruise that we went on. And we never saw him again, but it was like they were fast buddies for those 5 days, and so did anything like that happen for her on the cruise?
It absolutely did. Yes. So there was this she made quite a few friends, but there was one particular pair of sisters that were on the ship, were very similar age, who were on the ship with their mum. So they were always in the kids club fairly late. So she made really good friends with them, and then we watched some of the shows with them as well, and we also got good friends with her mum. So and they were from the States, so she was absolutely besotted with them. It was interesting over a little while, because what started to happen with the slightly older sister was making friends with Penelope, and then her younger sister was getting a little bit disgruntled because she was sort of getting like end up becoming the third wheel in that little trio. But
guess what? That's how life's going to be. getting a little fast forward into how the social circles will unfold in high school, in middle school, especially middle school. All right, so let's. So much to talk about. So let's talk about some of the. Let me ask you this, because a lot of folks sail the Western Caribbean or the Bahamas that listen to our show. Most definitely, you're coming across the Atlantic. So this is definitely you're going from point A to point B. Different kind of voyage, covering a lot of ground. We'll talk about the destinations you stopped at, Barcelona, the Azores, stuff like that. But in general, rough seas, because, this is one of those things, like, you're out in the middle of the Atlantic. What was the conditions for the most part? Was it anything that was concerning, smooth? What would you think?
So day two. So we left Southampton day two. We're heading around the Bay of Biscay, so around France, and that evening, in the night, I can feel the swaying. Very familiar because the same thing happened on the Anthem when I was on it the previous year, where I felt like, I don't know if you, it reminded me of the I don't know if you've ever seen the Ace Ventura film where Jim Carrey is getting like thrust around in the pool by like a shark, I think, and that's what I felt like on the Anthem. I was like, I was just being thrown around on the bed like this, and that was really bad. On this one, it felt a bit more gentle until we woke up in the morning, and then all of a sudden we heard this bleh, and Harmony had been sick, and then a few minutes later, Penelope was sick, and then my wife Amy got up and she was like, "Oh God, I don't feel too good either." And then I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" Then I got up and I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I don't feel too good either." And then uh, another top tip actually I got from you a long time ago was that we joined a Facebook group on for the to get build up excitement and build a community, and then that migrated to WhatsApp, a massive WhatsApp group. So look on that, and then everyone's like, ping, 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 ping. Is everyone feeling all right? Like, and the whole ship was like down because it was such choppy seas overnight. I don't want to scare anyone for this because this was just the one time it happened, but it was quite bad. I didn't realize it was that bad, but it's happening during the night, so you wake up and you really, really are quite seasick. And you reading a commentary from the other passengers saying they're in exactly the same boat, literally in the same boat. And then so I was like, well, I can't. We'd had a we had a reservation for Harmony to go into It's a Small World nursery that morning. Penelope was refusing to take any sort of travel sickness tablet, whereas Harmony was like, "Yeah, give me that." She just chomped on it and ate it, and so she was good. I had a protein shake with me and a caffeine drink, and I was like, I need to get something in my tummy. And then as soon as I had that, it straightened me out completely. So I actually got up, took Harmony out with me, put her into the nursery for an hour when I got breakfast, whilst Penelope and Amy were in bed, just like recovering because they just couldn't move. And then the whole ship was just dead because everybody was doing the same thing. And I thought I need to get something in Penelope, so I'll go down to the med bay to see if they've got anything more appetizing as a travel suite, like a chewable one. And I go down there, and honestly, Mike, like a morgue. Like it was like a morgue. Like, all the workers were down there, like with oxygen masks and just laid back with red eyes and really, really quite ill.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
And I was like, what? And then and actually what they just have the tablets out on the counter, like you can just take them. They just like have them. So
I feel like this was day two.
this was day two.
I'd rather see this on day 11. Yeah. This would not be a good sign.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh no, this is not good because if Penelope gets a bad experience, she'll be quite anxious then for the rest of the trip. So thinking, this is not a good start. So eventually managed to coach her to come out of the room, and they start to get a little bit better. And we go to the restaurant. Apples, another top tip, is apparently a good treat to offset seasickness. Is the apples? It's the fibre in them apparently. So tried to eat some, tried to get Penelope to eat some apples. And then we ended up doing napkin folding straight after, like later in the day. So let's go do something. So she's sat there doing this napkin folding, really good as well. She's really good at remembering the patterns and doing it. But she's there like this on the table, like just still ghostly white, and it really did wipe the ship out. But that was bad. Apparently, the Bay of Biscay is notoriously quite choppy, and there was the aftermath of a cyclone as well, which made it quite worse. But other than that, my wife says it was quite choppy all the rest of the trip as well, but we got used to it. But it wasn't that bad. It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know it is something to just, something to keep in the back of your mind, that it is not going to be, as I think we are spoiled for those people that do the Bahamian cruises and the Caribbean cruises, because a lot of times you go, oh, the ship's it's smooth as silk for the most part, because you are in the open ocean out there in the middle of the Atlantic. You are going to move. But I mean, it's you take your bonine, take your whatever methods you use, and I think you're going to be fine. You do have the occasional days where it does get wild. But you know, I mean, I even had that with the Treasure when we just did that little preview 3 night thing. That last night we came in, man, I almost fell out of the bed. It was so rough. I mean, we were just doing a Bahamian cruise. I was like, what is going on? It happens.
It does, yeah, it does. It is few and far between, and yeah. So I wouldn't want to scare everyone off from doing that sort of trip just because of that, but it is sort of avoidable. You can mitigate the severity of it, but a funny story nonetheless to think about.
I mean, yeah, they're always good stories. I remember I woke up in the night like, I screamed because it sounded like we hit something. It was a big waves because I was in the very front of the ship on that preview. You didn't pick your staterooms. It's just like I was on deck 10 in the front. I swore we hit something. I told because Ben, one of our travel agents, was with us. I was like, Ben, I think we just hit something. I'm like, are we still in the ocean? He's like, yes, go to bed. I was like, I think we hit something because the ship dropped like 100 feet. I felt like I fell out of my bed as well. Anyway, so give us some highlights though of your stops because you know obviously we only have about 50 minutes for the show and we're telling all these stories. I could go for 3 hours on this, but what was a highlight or two of the destinations? Because I mean, obviously these are places that Disney Cruise Line doesn't typically go.
Yeah, so they were all pleasant in their own regard. So we had for the listeners' benefit, we had Spain, Portugal. So that was Lisbon, the Azores, and then Lighthouse Point as the final one. So Lisbon was great because it was glorious weather and it was just lovely. And so in all of these trips, what some great excursions opportunities, but with a toddler, we decided not to do them. Now we did when we got to the Azores, we did have whale watching booked, and we also had Harmony booked into the nursery. It's a Small World for like a good 5-6 hours. So we did that way in advance. So we were like, well, let's see if we're comfortable getting off the ship and leaving her and going on this whale watching excursion. But just because she was so allergic, had such an allergic reaction to the nurseries, we decided to cancel that trip, and we just sort of took a really nice slow walk around all of those destinations, which was just perfect in terms of getting to see, particularly in Spain and in Portugal. In Spain, they were just putting up their Christmas decorations, so you started to like it as a real nice treat for the senses. Portugal was awesome because it was lovely weather and it was culturally it was lovely, and you had we ended up going for quite a long walk and then finding a lovely square and sitting down and just having a few beers and a few drinks whilst we and the bit that we did find as well though, and again it maybe a bit of a learning for other parents, is that what we found was that Penelope didn't want to get off the ship. That the ship is so alluring and she just wants to be in the pool or in the Oceaneers Club. She's like every 5 minutes, when are we going back? When are we going back? And almost getting quite anxious because she just doesn't want to get too far away from it on the ship.
I'd get along well with her. I'm the same way. Hey, shout out Penelope.
I think I'm the same way. So that's you get
the foods there, you know, all the entertainment. It's
exactly. Yeah, and you get a bit of a stillness, don't you? Because there's a lot of people off the ship, so you get kind of a bit more space. So, but she started. I don't know what happened, but I think she might have heard us say something or heard another family say about like people missing their boarding time.
Yeah,
she was getting anxious about that as well. And so the good thing about Portugal was that the square that we'd found was literally just, you could look around a corner, you could see the ship was there. So we were like stones throw from it. So that was nice. And of course, Lighthouse Point, that was a huge highlight. So it's funny because the actual itinerary started and it was Castaway Key, and it changed partway through the year. I think because it just been launched and they've been able to get us onto that island. There's a little bit of intrepidation coming up to that because you do hear stories about, are they going to be able to dock because of weather, and that was quite a jewel in the crown with that particular trip, particularly with the Westbound and it being the last stop before you get off. It was like a really nice way to do it. So that was definitely the highlight. We enjoyed that time. It's a shame it was the shortest time that you had in that destination. We could have done with another couple of hours, but we did enjoy that. And you've heard all the reviews before just about how kind of crystal clear and manicured within an inch of its life, very pristine. We did make the mistake of booking a banana boat trip there with Penelope and I. I'll never do that again. That was I don't know how anyone thinks that's enjoyable.
I've seen it. I mean, I've done parasailing with the girls, and that's terrifying, but I've done it. But yeah, banana boat. My cousin, his kid's a bull rider. No,
No, no,
what's
yeah.
bull riding on water?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It was terrible. Like, and poor Penelope, she was sat in front of me, and then she had another guy in front of her, and you jumping up, and then he would jump up and go back and like land on her hands,
Yeah, yeah.
and we had to wear these goggles. So I couldn't see anything. Would have been lovely views because he was going around by the ship. I couldn't see anything because it was all like the eyes were stinging, it was all steamed up, and you're holding on for dear life. It's hurting your hands. I'm like, this is torture. Like, this is
What
not.
it is, it's entertainment for everybody that's not riding the banana boat. Everybody's cracking up at you guys. That's what it is. But you're paying the money.
Yeah, I mean, the boys next to us on the 2 rows on this bar, but they would seem to be loving it.
Oh yeah, they're
But
psychic.
yes, that's slightly psychic. But yeah, so that wasn't for us. But yeah, the rest of it was lovely. The food was good. Uh, there's definitely some like opportunities to like optimize the experience a little bit out there because like it's when you get your food, you like get these slippery trays, and it's quite a long walk to get to like where you're going to sit down and eat it. So you're like, and you've still got kids or anything, and there are quite a lot of people were dropping their trays and food going everywhere because there's a little bit of option to improve there. But the walk, everybody kind of has something to say about the walk along the jetty. We timed it. It was like 8 minutes for us to walk, and but we're quite brisk walkers. That was quite easy to do, and the tram was like 6 minutes. So that was so super simple, not much turnaround time. When we were going back because you have to go get on the tram to go back to do the banana boat, there was already this sort of slightly elderly couple of ladies on the tram, and I could hear them talking. They're like, "Yeah, that's it. We've done. We've seen it. Now we'll go back to the ship." And it was only about 10:30, so they literally just got off.
They're
Got
like
on the tram.
Penelope. They're like
Yeah,
Penelope spirit people. We're good. We're going back to Cabanas.
yeah. We've done it. We ticked it. It was a tick box. We've done it, and we're going back. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You already beat me to Lighthouse Point. I haven't been there yet. I get to go in July. And I'll
Yeah.
probably drop now. No, I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight that I'll drop my tray in front of everybody. So because I'm a klutz. I'm a big klutz. There's some seagulls gonna come dive bombing me, and I'll drop my ribs or whatever they serve, and it'll just be all over me. And I'll just have to jump in the ocean and wash up. No, I can't wait. It looks beautiful, and it's a great experience. And I don't mind walking, but I know they got to do that to keep the place pristine because that's why they did that to keep everything nice. So let me ask you a couple other things I want to get in here. Entertainment dining. So with a cruise of that length, 4 or 5 night cruises, they typically just recycle the adult entertainment down in it's Evolution, right? The adult club, and
Yeah.
you guys spend time there, but on the Dream, yeah, because it's the Tube on the Fantasy. Like all these ships nowadays, it used to just be 4 ships. Now there's too many. But they have, but like you said, what I enjoy the most, I've always said this on the show, is that the smaller things like the trivias, the towel folding that you mentioned, the walking tours, stuff like that. But I mean, you also have the big Broadway shows in the Walt Disney Theater. But what was the entertainment like? Because for 13 nights, you really have an opportunity to explore and kind of pick and choose what you went to. So what stood out for you guys?
So the shows are definitely a highlight for us. So my wife and Penelope actually have grown up sort of doing amateur dramatics and shows at the theatre, and so that's definitely our thing. We love doing that. So the shows are really important that we got to see them. With trying to solve the conundrum of having Harmony, the 1-year-old. So we did solve that eventually. What we found was to get her into It's a Small World, actually, we put her in there and let her sleep. So for some reason, she was okay to sleep in the nursery. So that allowed us to put her in there whilst after our dinner, we'd put her into nursery, she'd sleep, and then we could go watch the shows. So that was a hit. In terms of the shows, crikey, there was so many, and as you know, like they are such a high quality. So it was very hard to find before the trip, like what would that itinerary look like? Because I was thinking, well, surely they're going to repeat some of the big shows, because I was sort of worried that they would like be so busy you might not get into them, because one of your shows. That was definitely not the case. They did show the main Broadway shows just once. So we had the Golden Mickey, so the big shows, the Golden Mickey show. We had the Beauty and the Beast show, and then we had the Believe show was the second to last night, which I think is a hit for you. It tugs on the heartstrings.
It's all the dads out there like, what's going on? Especially at the end of a cruise. Oof.
Yeah. I kind of wish they'd done it at the start of the cruise, because you're like, oh yeah, it puts you in the right mindset to be.
True, that's a good point.
Yeah. But so we had those are the three ones, and then interspersed in between them, you had all these other shows like variety performances. So we had it was amazing. We had Michelle Knight performed. So we had an evening with Michelle Knight. So she's been in Broadway. She's been in many of the shows around Walt Disney World. So she was in Finding Nemo musical. So she did an evening with her, and that was phenomenal. Like, she's a fantastic singer. And I actually went to see that. I just went on my own that night because Amy was tired, and Harmony wasn't in the nursery that night, so she just stayed in with her, and I went out and watched that show. So that was super excellent. She did like smash hits from Disney right through to Wicked and others. So that was good. We also had like a lot of America's Got Talent finalists and winners in there. So we had a guy called Eric Jones, who's a magician. So he performed, which was really good. A ventriloquist was there, and we also had another like a cappella band called Moonshot, who Michelle Knight was also in. But then there are another number of other singers and performers in that band who were also performers in Walt Disney World. And that was good fun because they were excellent. So a proper a cappella band and very, very comedic. So there was like lots going on, as well as I forgot this as well. I think one of the first nights I went to the cinema, so they were showing the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I was like, I've got to see this in the Walt Disney Theatre. So it was like that level of variety. I was shocked at, because you had something pretty big each night, something we could take it, and there were other singers as well and other performers, but those are the ones which really stood out that we really wanted to protect, and they were significantly high standard.
Yeah, and the thing too, for folks who haven't sailed, and we have a few people in the audience that are huge, theme park fans, maybe not sailed on a Disney cruise, is that when you're on the ship, the greatest thing is that you're seeing these in the small venues, and the quality, just like Lewis said, is so high. And, it's a small venue, it's up close, and you're so relaxed on a cruise because you have nothing else to do. You're out at sea. You don't have any, you have nowhere to go. You don't have any, you're not stressed about being anywhere else. You don't have to worry about, I have to be at an ADR, because these are opposite your dinner time. So it just works into your schedule really well. You've usually had a good day on the beach that day, or at some port doing something fun, exploring a cool place. And it's just, the entertainment on the ships is just, it's unmatched. It's so much fun, because it could be a big Broadway style show one night. And like you say, a lot of times, the ventriloquist or the magician will steal the show. The next night you're like, I'll just go and see what it's like. I probably won't like this. And then you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the show, you're getting a selfie with them on the way out, because they were the coolest thing ever. That's so neat.
Yeah. On that though, the other interesting dynamic with this sort of cruise is that a lot of these performers are also enjoying the cruise. They're on it for the duration. So some get on and off at the ports, but with this one, you're then sitting around the pool, and you have Michelle Knight sat there with her family, because they're on the ship as well, and you bump into them, and she actually helped us get off the ship at the end, and we've had a funny quip about her coming with us to help babysit Harmony, and so it's just a really surreal kind of environment. And also and you kind of sat in the lobby, and you'll see we had Don Williams, a Disney artist, was also on the ship, so signing paintings. So one morning we got up, and we had a bespoke print in our room that you could then book a slot to go into the Walt Disney Theatre to get him to sign it, and then you see him just sat around in the lobby, and so yeah, quite surreal from that perspective. That's quite a special sort of quirk of a cruise of that length.
Yeah, it is. I got to do one. I still remember back in the day with Stuart Scott from ESPN. Because I'm a sports fan, and he sailed the whole cruise with us, and I remember I sang karaoke with the guy. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott. But it was And that night, I mean, this was early. This was when Disney Cruise Line first launched. I don't know if they would do this anymore, but it was, you had to do a shot of tequila every time you sang a song. And poor Stuart, his wife, dragged him off the stage. He was singing "All for You" by Sister Hazel. That was his last song before his wife dragged him off the stage. But man, that was a fun night, and it was on the Disney Magic, I think. Yes, but he signed an autograph for me. Oh my gosh, he signed an autograph for me. I had it hanging in my classroom because he said something like, "To Mr. Rahman's students, listen to him. He's not here to babysit you," because his wife is his mom was a teacher. And he was signing books and talking about, he did talks around the ship, during the cruise about broadcasting and sports and stuff like it. But you're right. I mean, you get these cool opportunities on cruises a lot of times. So much fun. Yeah,
amazing.
Go ahead.
No, amazing. I just think when you think back and reflect on that, that's just stuck with you, and it's creating a long lasting impression. It's crazy that you can get those sort of experiences.
Oh man, I still can't. I mean, like I look back, I'm like, did I really like sing karaoke on a Disney Cruise Line ship with Stuart Scott? Yeah, I did. It was, and people are like, no, you didn't. Because if you were, this is the old people, but they used to have a radio broadcasting booth on the Disney Cruise Line on the old ships, like the Magic and the Wonder and the forward funnel. It used to be a radio booth, like up in the forward funnel. Now they put staterooms in them and stuff, and the rest of they want to get. It's not a radio station booth is not generating money. Exactly. But they used to put an ESPN radio booth so they could do like radio shows at sea, and that's kind of what they used it for. But it was really, God, that was so cool. Anyway, so let's talk dining. I want to talk dining because you guys were there for 13 nights. What was the hit restaurant of the Disney Dream for your family, would you say?
I don't know. I guess we got a bit spoiled in the end because you got to experience it. It was, and again, we didn't know what the loop would be, but it was literally you would loop you'd have the three main restaurants, so Animator's Palette, Royal Palace, and Enchanted Garden, and they were just on loop. So you do them one night, one the next night, one the next, and start again all throughout the whole trip. So you get to go on 3 or 4 times. They're all much of a muchness, really. I think. Oh, I did find is that I think we would definitely probably Animator's Palette because that was the most interactive. They kind of spread out the shows throughout the trip. So the first night they didn't really do a show, but then the second time we were in there, they did the Crush, the Turtle Talk interactivity on the screens, and then on the last time that we were in there, they did the drawing, the kind of animated drawing piece. So that was quite fun. You definitely sort of notice some of them are a little bit more kind of like crammed than others. And we'd requested before we went to have our own table, so to not to be as sociable as possible, mainly because Harmony can be really challenging at a table.
Right.
You don't really want to subject another family to that.
Yeah, might be doing that for the other people, not just you guys. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but I wonder. I still wonder now that the table we had next to us was so close, and it was a family with similar age children. And I just wonder if they were meant to be on our table as well, because they do that, don't they? They try to tag you in with another family.
Yeah, they match up similar party groups. Yep.
Yeah. So it did feel like there was just a tiny enough gap to go, look, you're on separate tables, but you can't.
What is the limit to separate tables? 9 inches.
Yeah. It's very difficult trying to get around that table sometimes. I'm not like brushing the poor guy with like my backside as I'm going around, but no, that was good. We didn't do any of the paid for like Paolo or Remy's, just because we didn't really have the opportunity to do it with the children. But we did hear there were some people that just literally did those every night.
I've heard that. I don't roll that way, but I've had people that I know that they've gone on cruises and never gone to the main dining room. You roll. I like the way you roll. I don't roll that way, but hey, man, that's another way to go. Because they're just like, I love Remy and I love Paolo, and I'm on a cruise and this is a splurge. I'm like, hey, it's not that expensive. Honestly, it's cheaper than. It's like $50 a person. I mean, you'd pay that if you went out to a steakhouse. Whatever.
Yeah. So we definitely went rolling like that this time. But we had a great host team as well. So who obviously they stay with you throughout the whole rotation. So they were excellent, and it was quite funny because it was Harmony's second birthday, the weekend when we got home. So at the start of the trip, Melroy, one of the waiters, like, "You got any special occasions coming up?" We're like, "Well, not quite, but Harmony's going to be 2 in a matter of a week or so." So they remembered that. So on the last night, on our last meal, they came round, and a whole host, loads of them came round and sang a happy birthday. That was a bit of a, and he and uh, they like a picky eater. Harmony wasn't eating anything, but every night she would want a strawberry yogurt in a pot, and they don't do that in restaurants. So every night they would have to go up to Cabanas and get her one and bring it down. And they did that every night. So like Melroy would come and go, "Here you go, Matt. Here you go, Princess. Here it is," and she'd eat that every night. So
That's a cool stuff, because Disney Cruise Line will do that stuff. They will
yeah,
go the extra mile, and you build that relationship with your serving team that I can imagine after 13 nights, you definitely probably want to bring them home with you.
yeah. They were very good. Yeah, they were lovely. We kind of felt bad that we were there every night, but and like not giving them a night off. But
Yeah, they probably love you
it,
guys, I'm sure.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I think they like you being there, it's, I don't know. That's how I feel, because we go to the main
yeah,
dining room almost every night too, because we enjoy being there with our serving team. Like, we do. I always go to Palo one night. I don't go to Remy. It's too fancy for me, or Ashante. That's just that's out of my league. Palo is nice. I do like
yeah,
Palo. That's as fancy as I get. But I enjoy, and like when I'm at Palo though, I feel like, oh man, I'm missing my serving team, because I just feel like that's
yeah,
part of the whole experience. They always ask how your day was, and
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of average Joe though. That's my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a good point. And actually, one thing I learned quite quickly was like listen to them as well. Like listen to your wait team. So
Yeah.
if they tell you if they recommend a dish, probably just take that one, because on the odd evenings where I chose a dish that they didn't recommend, it wasn't the best one. But every time they were very open, honest. Like no, don't have that one. Have this one. So that you kind of build that relationship as well, that level of trust. So they want you to have a good time, don't they? So they want them to swerve anything that's perhaps not great in terms of some of the food. So
Now, see, I'm old here. Now, one thing just crossed my mind. Harmony, too old for the diaper dash at one?
yeah, she's walking, so she's still in
Oh,
diapers, but she's walking, so we couldn't do it. Yeah, we and yeah, there's no way we could have
oh, man.
tried to
Could have
get her to
cheated.
crawl.
'Cause, I mean, like, hey, I'm just gonna call it out right now. I've seen kids in that thing that I know they're cheating. Those kids
Yeah,
probably they've probably run, for 2 years, but their parents are like, "Look, don't run or walk, just crawl," because they're so hungry for those prizes. I mean, like, they're like, I couldn't crawl that fast for sure, and they dart across that atrium or whatever. It's not right. But I mean, was there any like small? Did you guys play trivia at some point? Did you see the diaper dash? Was there any other kind of fun, like minor things you guys took part in?
we saw the diaper dash. Yeah, we didn't take part in it. I mean, Harmony can't sit still for more than two seconds, so she would have been crawling about that and
You did
up and
you
running.
did chase the toddler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We didn't do any of the we didn't do any of the kind of the trivia's. We did the napkin folding, as I said. I did. I was close to doing the beer tasting, but it was always at like 11 in the morning. So I wasn't quite. I know you're on holiday, but I
Come
wasn't
on,
quite.
you're from the
Wasn't
UK.
quite ready.
I thought people in the UK could drink beer anytime. Come on.
It was a little bit too much. A little bit too much for me. Uh, the one thing we haven't spoke about though in terms of entertainment. So this is and you've mentioned it many times before. Just you are like inundated with character
Yeah,
interactions,
yeah,
aren't
absolutely.
you? So that is what took up our whole time. We were on a complete conveyor belt and loop of that lobby area, and just like the moment you've queued up for one on the mezzanine, you're like they check in, check out, and you're like, well, there's another character coming up, so you walk all the way around, you queue up again, because the thing we learned on this trip, this is Harmony's first time with characters, and she is that kid that will give you that moment of, oh, she's running and sprinting up to those characters and hugging them, and trying to, like, she's going around behind them and trying to pinch their behinds with Donald and Daisy. So the character, you are absolutely spoiled with it. You cannot it can't go more than a few minutes without coming across characters, and you have So if that is your thing, and it is obviously a thing for a lot of Disney fans, isn't it? Is to get those rare photo opportunities with certain characters. So you're getting totally different costume changes. So when we got to Spain, for example, they're in their sort of Spanish outfits, and
Oh, cool.
before we got off the ship, we'd already met like 4 or 5 characters, and this was like really early in the morning. So you'd had, and you're getting different combinations as well. So you had like Chip and Dale and Pluto together. It was a trio shot in their Spanish outfit, and you have the Princess Parade that you can book as a bookable activity. So we did that one morning as well. Actually, it's funny enough, that was the morning that everybody was sick. So I took Penelope. It was just Harmony and I on that trip. I took her to see the Princess Parade. So yeah, that is it. And the one thing you get on these cruises, which you get, I don't think you get anywhere else, is the with all the characters together on the stairs photo opportunity. So you had that 3 times on this cruise. So you had them in their traditional outfits. So all of them. So you had Minnie, Mickey, Daisy, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Chip and Dale, all on the stairs in their traditional outfits. You then had them in their cruise outfits on another shot, and then you also had them in their Halloween outfits because we were on the ship during Halloween. So that was also another massive event that day, which we can talk about as well, because that was again, we weren't sure how Disney were going to celebrate Halloween on the ship, because it wasn't a Halloween of the High Seas specific itinerary. So we weren't sure if they'd even have any of the decorations, but they did. So that morning, all the characters are out in their Halloween costume, and they did a Halloween party in the lobby area, which was like really pumping. They'd come out and it'd be a big dance party with all the characters on the balcony, and obviously all the guests were all dressed up in their outfits as well. And actually, just one other thing on that, which was like outrageous. So that Facebook group I mentioned did a self-organized trick-or-treat hunt.
I was going to ask about that. Is there trick-or-treating around the ship, but you guys did it on your own?
Yes, so we did on, because again, there was no communication. Nobody knew if Disney were going to do anything. So the Facebook community took it on themselves. So the organizer of that group said, right, meet me in the lobby at this time, bring candy with you on your trip. So we packed loads in our suitcase, as well as everybody else. And then you should have seen this sight in the middle of in the foyer, lady with these massive bags just getting candy piled onto her. And then we commandeered the entire deck 4, and they had volunteers that stationed all the way around it. It spanned the entire deck 4. There was that many volunteers, and all the kids then did a whole loop of trick-or-treating. Everybody in their outfits. Some people went like to town on their outfits. I don't know how they fit them in their suitcases. Like that Michelle Knight, who I mentioned, she was there with her whole family, all dressed up in a different character from the Moana films. She was in like the big lobster kind of outfit, like a huge sort of one, like no, like similar size to your hot dog one that you run in. But that honestly, that was one of those core memories, because we were walking around and just everybody's so friendly, and you've got them handing out candy to both the children, and so that was great. And then we found out that Disney were doing a trick-or-treat as well in cabanas that night. So, but it was nowhere near as good. It was just like they'd set up cabanas.
You guys put them to shame. Disney,
yeah,
the deck 4 thing.
Yeah. So we went up to cabanas, and it was the same. They just dished out loads of candy, a couple of stations as you walk around cabanas and come out the other side. And so that was, pretty surreal. Walking around doing trick-or-treating on a ship in the middle of the Atlantic.
Well, those kids will never forget that Halloween. That's for sure. I mean, they got a Halloween and a half. I mean, what a place to celebrate. And also, the families giving out the candy. Wow. So we're running way long. And so we're going to have to kind of leave Universal on the back. But you seem like a pretty techie guy. Now, let me ask you this. 13 nights on the Dream, having all these, great memories. You get to relax. You're making all these memories with your wife and your daughters. How did you document this, and have you done anything as far as, have you made like a video of this when you got home? I mean, Scotty G's the big vlogger now, and he puts his stuff on YouTube. I'm just curious, like, how people try to remember these memories now with their families, like the archive special trips like this. Have you done anything like that? Because I just try to give people ideas, because these trips are special. Like, how do you make sure that you're gonna, be able to go back and relive this adventure, a little bit later?
Yeah, well, fantastic question. So, yes, so all of our big trips, I will document using video, phone, or GoPro. Is usually my go-to device to capture as much footage as possible, and then I typically then stitch that together in daily montages of what we've done, coupled with a meaningful soundtrack from the trip itself. So Michelle Knight's songs have featured in a lot of our home video. I stitch all the days together and create a whole video that we will watch quite frequently throughout the year, as that way to kind of constantly get that little bit of Disney hit. The interesting bit, when again this came out of the Facebook group, and I've used it for this video. We used AI to create a bespoke a vacation song for us that gave us all the lyrics for a song. So ChatGPT for a song, you type in the brief, this is where we're going, these are the destinations, this is the family, this is what we like doing, what we don't like doing, comes out all the verses and the chorus. And then use another AI app. I can't remember the name of it now. Maybe Sunseek, something like that.
But I know the mate that sings it.
Yes, yeah. And it translates.
I listen to a lot of tech podcasts, and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we put the lyrics into that, create the song, and it was amazing. So that is now the start and the end of my holiday video. And it's fantastic. Like, it was such a good hit.
That is incredible. That is incredible. I love this. You used AI to make the lyrics. You need another AI sing the AI generated lyrics. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, you need to make. Tell me that you have not made one of those AI action figures. Have you not made one of those?
I actually have. Yeah, I think I might have started. I think I started the trend on that, because I did it. I did it as a joke for my brother, because he bought me an action figure for my birthday recently. And I've got it over here. So a Marvel action figure, and so I, as a joke, sent him one back of him as an action figure, and then all of a sudden, the next few days, I could see like everyone was doing it online. I was like, oh crikey, what did I start this? It was just coincidence, but yeah, it's pretty cool what you can do.
Yeah, we're using AI to burn down all the trees, use all the water in the world to make these stupid action figures on ChatGPT. It's terrible. But here I was that Friday night making, one of Riley, our dog, with all
did you?
It's terrible. Anyway, no, I love that. I'm just curious because, we have the opportunity. We talk to thousands and thousands of people through the show. And I think one of the greatest things we can do is give people ideas for how to not only document the trip during the vacation, but you don't want to leave those videos, those photos on the phone, and I think that's 90% of us do. I'm terrible about that, right? You need to take that and turn that into some kind of a product, put it on YouTube. YouTube's free, and that way grandma and grandpa can see it. They're sitting at home maybe, and they want to see the grandkids. And, it used to be so much harder. You had to send them a DVD or something. And that was such, to show them how to get the DVD player hooked up to the TV. Now you can just send them a link, or, drop it into Dropbox or something like that. So yeah. I just like to give, people something to think about. And, you've gone, I love the way you've done that. And you've opened a whole new Pandora's box for folks. They're going to be writing lyrics and coming up with AI generated vocalists. That's great. So.
Yeah, we definitely leveled up this last year's holiday video. Yeah,
that's amazing. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, Lewis, I appreciate you staying up late with us, and man, what a great voyage. Any last memories from the trip, though, as we close out? Like any one last story or a tip? Would you do this again? This kind of trip?
Oh, 100% would do it again. Yeah, we'll possibly not next year. Year after, we'll do it, because next year the dream is back doing the transatlantic next year. But I'd like to perhaps try the different one. The Fantasy's doing it this year. But we're heading back to Florida instead. The conventional way of flying at the back end of this year, but I would definitely do it. We definitely do it again. We are itching to get back on a ship, so we may do a different one before then, a shorter excursion. But in terms of kind of last in tips, I would just say from manage your expectations for these sorts of trips. So as I kind of said at the start, we had these sort of expectations that it was going to be the best possible combination of trip with the type of youngsters that we had, and they completely did a role reversal on us and changed how they react in those situations. So I would say any of these big trips, we typically hold them up as they have to be perfect, don't they? Otherwise, it's failed. But that's not the case, and have that degree of fun, of flexibility, and fluidity in your planning, and be a bit more chilled with it. I think that's the lasting thought that I have on our trip.
All right. Well, thanks again for staying up late with us. It's great to meet you, and hope we can talk again down the line after some more of your adventures. So have a happy spring, and great talking to you today.
You too. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Don't forget our show, always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get out there and see the world. Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, even Adventures by Disney. Just check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible. Could not do it without your support. You can support us just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can give me a follow on the social media at beourguestmike. I'm on Instagram, X, and Threads. And you can also join me in the clubhouse. It's free for everybody. It's our live chat room. It is 24/7. It's like a message board, live chat kind of combo. It's about 1,400 of our listeners over there all the time, talking Disney, talking life, talking sports, everything you want to talk about. It's a great hangout. Ricky's over there, Pam's there, Scott's there. We're all there. Come on over. It's beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. We'll be looking for you this week. And we'll have a live call-in show this Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, opening up the phone lines, taking your calls. Be a part of the show. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, or X. That's 5. We're in 5 places. I think I got them all. If not, you know where we are. We've been doing this forever. All right. So for Lewis, who stayed up way late with us over in the UK, I'm Mike here in Missouri. Wishing you a great Monday. So until we talk again on Wednesday, have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Thank you so much, Lewis. That was awesome. And your kids sound like a ton of fun. And as a dad of 2 daughters who are spread out in age, I totally get it. And you're in for a ride, my friend.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it's hard work, but yeah.
Second one's always trouble.
Yeah, and you've got more miles on the clock this time as well, so it's doubly hard, isn't it? That's the other.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, look, 17. Man, the youngest is 17. She's giving me all the gray hairs.
Yeah,
I have hair dye. That's all I got to say. I appreciate you, bud. If you need anything, just give me a call. All right, you take care.
Really. All right, cheers. Bye.
All right, now see you guys on the next podcast. The next podcast will be on Sunday night. I'll see you on Sunday night. Live call-in show. You guys have a great week.